Lost is so wonderful because it actually offers an insight with the time travel and the backstory and such. It offers the kind of thing that I, as a psychologist, am always looking for. What happened before this? What happened before that? Who else played a role in what we're seeing now? Lost gives us all that and allows us to piece each character together in much the same way that we make sense of our own lives.
That douche is my dad.
What are you doing?
At the heart of a lot of characters on this show is relationships between father and son, father and daughter. And that's why the audience can follow these characters' journeys, is because they understand that there are real emotions and real touchstones in these people's lives.
What happens to us as kids and the ways that our parents teach us to react to those and the skills that we learn to cope with those are the things that we bring with us into adulthood. I think that's a big issue with the Lost characters.
Bye.
So it's pretty clear that Kate didn't have a good relationship or a strong bond with her mom, that there's really not a lot of love between them. Then she found out Wayne, whom she hated and who was very abusive and exploitative toward her, was her actual father. With Sam, she learned to be a tracker and a hunter.
My dad was in the Army, Ranger Battalion. Being in the woods, it was like his religion.
So the only real nurturing she got was in the service of developing her quickness and her ability to think on her feet and act what I would say is impulsively.
Kate is very instinctual, so a lot of the things that she does, as we've seen over and over and over again, are not necessarily thought out decisions. They're a gut reaction to a circumstance. I think we should say he's mine.
What?
I think what Kate wants is, and what she's been afraid of her whole life, which is a normal life, and to stop running. I think she sees Aaron as her savior in a way, because Aaron's the thing that stopped her from running.
With Aaron, she found herself in a stable situation for a brief while, but it was not right. But she has a taste of it now.
Your daddy. He a doctor too? Was?
So Jack has much more than any of the other characters that we really focus on. He has much more of the kind of what we would call a normal dysfunctional family. He has a dad who really doesn't know how to connect with him in any way, but as a critical parent.
I know. I have been hard on you. But that is how you make a soft metal into steel.
Setting the bar really high, not really giving the kind of emotional or other support to meet the expectations that he sets up, being abusive in the way that he communicates his expectation and his feedback.
You just don't have what it takes.
So I see Jack is stuck at about 14 years old, and his whole agenda is either to build himself up in his father's eyes or to take his father down a peg. I see him taking the very same stuck 14-year-old to the island. The good news is that his impulses aren't really destructive, his impulses are protective. He has a lot of skills and he uses them, but he's kind of like a Boy Scout, sort of showing off and vying for power and trying to, assert his manhood.
Should I go and get a ruler?
Hello again.
I see Ben as the most damaged character in Lost. His mother died in childbirth, giving birth to him. His father was completely unprepared to take over the role of nurturing a child, and he becomes this bitter, resentful, raging alcoholic.
Every season I have one great inhuman line. Like John Locke says, "You see what you've done? You've killed us. You've killed them all." And I say, "Who cares?"
It's not my problem, John.
When Ben behaves most ruthlessly or violently, or when he's inhuman, I think those are part of that reservoir of child undeveloped childness that's in Ben's brain.
How can you possibly not understand that you're mine?
I think Ben has what's called reactive attachment disorder, which is a really severe condition that affects brain development as well as personality and behavior. Kids get it from not having an adult that they ever feel they have a secure, safe connection to. He's kind of looking for any port in the storm, so he attaches himself very inappropriately to people that he doesn't know at all.
I really hate it here.
There's an intolerable amount of anxiety that builds up in certain people who've been damaged in certain ways, and they need to take some kind of dramatic, horrendous action in order to get relief from that anxiety.
Folks died when I was 8 years old. Ever tell you that? No. I was hiding under the bed when it happened. Heard the whole thing.
Sawyer was at a very vulnerable age, and he had seen his father prove to be not only a loser and a victim, but a murderer. And in his 8-year-old mind, the con man had all the power. So that was the model that he carried in his head, which was to have some power, to have some money, to have a sense of being a success and not a failure like his father.
I'm absolutely sure he's terrified that he's going to pass on some of his character traits to his daughter.
What's she like?
Clementine?
Yeah, Clementine.
But he can't help but wanting to be a part of her life. He just doesn't know how.
For the last 50 years, we've sort of relied mostly on a theory by a psychologist named Abraham Maslow, who talks about hierarchies of needs being a primary factor in our motivations. And our very first level of need is for oxygen, water, calories, all of those things that we cannot survive for very long at all without. Next is safety and security. So Sawyer, his whole life, has been stuck in those two. He survives, he achieves a level of safety, he achieves a level of security. The higher needs then are for a sense of belonging and connection and getting respect from other people, much in the way that Jack does to get people's respect by taking charge, being a leader. Then the highest level is when you begin to have self-respect and when you begin to have what Maslow calls self-actualization. So once Sawyer secures his safety on the island and sort of secures a position that's powerful enough for him to feel secure, he does a wonderful thing. He starts to read everything he can get his hands on. And when we get to see him in 1977, he's formed a new identity of himself as a thinker and a problem solver and a man who has chosen a very stable partner, a very secure lifestyle. So I really like Sawyer. I like what he's done with himself. He's really gone more towards self-respect and self-actualization than most of the other characters.
Yeah. I've done a lot of growing up in the past 3 years.
So each one of them comes to the island with their own temperament and their own inborn abilities, and then with their histories and their being stuck in a certain place. And a few of them really say, whoa, this is a new place. These are new people. I can actually reach down inside of myself and figure out what resources I haven't developed and find some thoughtful, creative ways to develop those resources in new relationships, in a new environment.
Everybody can look at their own past and feel like, this was a formative event, whether it was good or bad. And usually those events that you really remember tend to be of the more traumatic nature, or over time kind of, this was hard on me as a person and this is what I learned from it or how it changed me. So I think that that's a hopeful message for people, that these people came from very damaged pasts and that they're able to learn from that and kind of evolve as characters and as people and in their relationships.
You can tell yourself to do things different. Save yourself a world of pain.
No, I needed that pain. Get to where I am now.